back like 2 years ago, by the guy who was crewing for me, like while I was on track, he was this guy named Steven, and me and him would just troll all the time. And this guy on track, the guy that I was racing with, was just being a dick. Like, he was blocking every corner and swerving on the straights, not letting me by. And I got on the mic and I was like, what the fuck, Steven? This guy's being an asshole. I'm so mad. And Steven doesn't say anything. He just turns on he presses his push to talk button over his mic and just starts playing jazz. And for 30 minutes, the rest of the race, the only thing I could hear was just smooth jazz.
Welcome back to the Two Takes podcast. I am your host, David Ohan, joined by someone that I've known basically all my life. 20 years of my life, I've known this guy forever. Big Carsten Gregory, other known as CG18. Carsten, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, man. I'm excited to be here. I'm thankful that you having me on, but it's crazy. 10 years ago, we were sitting in my basement throwing Xbox controllers at the wall and getting mad on Madden. I never thought it was going to be out here, but
yeah, it's crazy
how things work.
Crazy 10 years down the road. Well, we don't know where we'll be. Probably have kids, maybe. I shouldn't say that.
Wishing bad luck on us.
Yeah.
We'll hope.
Karsten, so you're in a sport that I have no idea of. You're in racing.
I am, yeah.
And racing, I've heard, is one of the coolest sports. I know a lot of my friends love F1 and just the Grand Prix and stuff. I don't know jack shit about it. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Perfect.
But I know it's super expensive, and I just want to have you come on here and answer some questions just so the fans and other people around the world that want to get to know racing, they can learn it from you. Just my first question for you, how'd you get into racing? How do you get into this sort of thing? I mean, normally it's like with other sports, swimming, you join a team, or football, you start practice, but how do you become a race car driver?
Yeah, so it's different for a lot of people. A lot of people will get into it, especially over in Europe. It's a big commonality to get into it when you're 4, 5, 6 years old. Here in the States, it's a little bit different. I got into it later, I got into it when I was 13. So, it's not really late. You're driving a race car at 13 years old. But later, in terms of the sport, my dad was in the car industry as I was growing up. So one of his friends, he used to race motorcycles his whole life. And he had a big, big wreck at Daytona down in Florida and had to get out of it. Broke both of his legs, broke both of his arms. He was in a wheelchair forever. So he was like, all right, I'm going to switch to cars. I want something safer, but whatever. So he invited me up to the go-kart track once when I was 12. And, I went out one day and fell in love with it and never looked back. And it was a process of getting into it, learning it, and being half competitive. When you're 12 years old, you can never be fully competitive, but, being half competitive and just learning the wits of it, and over the years, we just stayed in it and kept going.
Yeah, I mean, like they say, love at first sight with certain things, especially with your wife or your partner, I should say. But I don't. So normally you have to get your license at 16. How can you already drive a race car before you're 16? I'm confused.
No, it's crazy. It's weird. You can get your racing license. It's a whole separate thing. You can get some sorts of racing licenses. They'll let you get them at 16, 15, 14. For the beginning stages, you start in karting. And a lot of karting, you don't need a license. So, at 12, you kind of just go out on track. And for some of the international stuff, you'll need a CIK license, which means that you're eligible to go race internationally. But, I never did any of that stuff because I started late. But, really, you buy a go-kart, you get into it, and you go race. And then once you get into bigger cars, I think, I'm trying to think. Yeah, the first time I drove a proper race car, I was 14. And that you need a license for. So you can go and you have to take a bunch of tests and get a bunch of physical exams and get your hearing and your eyes and your blood pressure and everything. Everything that you could ever imagine, you have to get tested on. You get tested on, and they basically say, all right, you're a novice. You got to prove yourself, and you go out, and if you prove yourself, you get it. If you don't, then, well, that's your career. But, so I did that. I did the karting for 3-4 years, and then got my SCCA license and have gone from there.
Wow, it sounds like you're trying to go into the military
it's
with
crazy.
all those tests.
Really
and I'm guessing you're a novice, but you passed that test. What was it? Were you nervous when you had to go take that test that first time?
Yeah, so how it works is you go and you take an on-paper test. And so if you pass that test,
So like the SAT?
it's like the SAT but for cars.
Okay.
And like racing and stuff. So it's like it'll ask questions like, what is a green flag? Green means go. What is a yellow flag? It's a caution. Stuff like that. Just like basic knowledge. And if you pass that, then you're considered a novice. And that means you can go. They host them once or twice a year. You can go to a racing school. And I went to one down in Savannah, or around Savannah. It's called a track called Roebling. And you go and you drive you do one day of school driving, and then you take another test at the track, and then you do another day of like open lapping. So an instructor tells you basically, here's what you got to do, go do it. And you do it, and if you do well enough and you don't throw the car into the wall, then you're pretty much good. And then from there, you do a race that weekend with other novices and some non-novices, just like other drivers. You go and race, and if you don't really bottle the car or you don't truly screw something up, then they'll usually sign off, and then you get a provisional competition license. I'm sorry, it's all jargon, but you get a provisional competition license, and that means you can race in your state. So you can do, in your state. You can't do like super tour races is what they're called. It's the big national touring series. You can't do those yet. So once you do 3 of those races, you'll do a race, and then you'll get the like head scrutineering chief to sign you off to tell them that like, hey, you didn't crash, you didn't do anything stupid. Got to do that 3 times, and then if you do well enough, then they give you your full competition license. So at 15 years old, I had a full competition racing license after doing all that before the U.S. would let me drive on the roads. So
wow.
And obviously, I would never drive a car on the road before I was allowed.
Yeah,
I never did that.
None of us did that.
Yeah, no.
But you are kind of getting at my next question when you're talking about like getting your racing license. I just want to ask you, what was it like for your first race and just being in that car, and what do you remember most about it?
Man, I mean, it's different for first race in karts versus cars, because I mean, my first race in a go-kart, I was 12 years old, ignorance is bliss. I mean, I was just on the grid. I was like, oh, I'm going to go out and win it. And I think I qualified probably 8th out of 12 drivers. I mean, I was very new. I wasn't good. And I went out, hopes were high, and I just drove. But, after a few years of doing that and actually getting competitive, winning races, winning championships, my first time in a car, it was definitely nerve-wracking, because your first time ever in a go-kart, you don't have any expectations. No one has expectations for you. But now you're 15 years old. You're racing against guys that are 15 to 60. I mean, there's guys that have been doing it for longer than you've been alive. And you've got your parents there. Some people got their partners' sponsorships there and everything. And, yeah, my whole family's there watching. And that definitely, like, before you go out on track to actually race, you sit on pre-grid. And that's, like, in between races, you sit on pre-grid while the other cars are racing. When their race is done, you go out. And we were sitting on pre-grid for about 10 minutes. And we've got a radio and everything in the car. And I remember I was just sitting there on the radio, just talking to my crew guy, just like, tell me what to do, tell me everything, calm me down. I was just going through everything. And he got on the mic and he's like, just do your thing. You've driven for 5 years. You know how to run races. Just go and do your thing. And that calms you down. I mean, there's nothing you can really say or do that works for everyone, but that for me calmed me down. And, you go and you do your 2 out laps, and then you go green and you start racing. And by the time you're on the track, you can't really have too much nerves, because you're driving a race car. There's nothing. You can't have a lapse in judgment. So once you get out there, you go through the gears a few times. It calms you down, and you're just in the zone. And that was like a 25-minute race. And I probably couldn't tell you one thing about that 25-minute race, except that I finished 3rd out of 25 drivers, and I called it a win, because, that's all you can ask for. But, yeah, it's nervous at the first, but once you're out there, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah, I completely understand you. I know I did competitive swimming forever, and any race, even if I knew there was no point in racing, like if I already had state, or maybe no, even if I had state, I would go out there before my first, because I'd always swim the 200 and then I'd swim the 500. And I'd be honest, I'd be shaking. I'd always have to take a shit before my races to let the systems go. But one thing that always stuck with me is, like my mom said, God gave you the ability to do that thing that day. So just be happy with it. You already did the preparation. There's nothing you can change. Just go swim your race. And I think for me, like you said, you can't, once you get out on the track, you can't do anything. Once you get in the pool, you can't be like, oh my God, what's going on? Because you'll just start panicking. And I think once I hit the water, like you hit the track, I think everything just kind of goes black and you just go into that
just in your own zone.
And then next thing you know, you're like, oh shit, I'm done. I'm gassed, but I'm done.
But I'm done, yeah, for sure. No, that's exactly how it is. I remember kind of a funny story off that. There was the first time my girlfriend came to watch me race. It was 2.5 years ago. The first time she ever came to watch me race. Mm-hmm. It was Father's Day. She took her dad to the racetrack for me to meet him. So that adds another level of scaredness. And my dad, before the race, comes and he looks me in the eyes in the car and he was like, man, don't try anything special because Sophia and Mr. Dan are here. And that just snapped me out of my game. And I was going third lap. I was going into a corner and just, I guess I remembered what he said, lost it under braking and went off and hit the wall. Broke the front end of the car off and caused some damage. But that was the only time that I've ever really gotten in my head. And now from then on, I'm like, all right, I got to clear it.
So like the reverse Jordan Poole effect.
Exactly.
No.
That's exactly it.
No, I totally understand. There's just one thing you remember. It just throws you off.
One thing snaps you out.
Damn.
That was terrible. But, looking back on it, funny story. Didn't lose the car, didn't lose my dad, and didn't lose my girlfriend. So I guess that's
that's great to hear. But speaking of pretty penny, about you damaging the car, how much does it cost to just get into racing? Because, I mean, man, I look at those cars, and there's some sexy-ass cars that look like they're from millions to hundreds of thousands. How does one just even afford that? And for a person that may not be on the wealthier side, how do you just get the money to do that? Because I feel like you're just kind of draining your pockets constantly.
Yeah, in the racing world, 2 years ago even, the saying in the racing world was, you're better spending your money putting it in a 55-gallon drum and lighting it on fire because you'll never make it back. But nowadays with racing, it's gotten a lot better with sim racing, and companies are holding like challenges to where you can get into racing. So, 5 years, if you asked me the question, I go 5 years ago, I would say buy a go-kart, race that for a couple of years, move up the ranks, buy a race car, and go out and race. And at the end of the day, you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I just spent $200,000 on racing and I'll never see it again. But yeah, it's crazy. But nowadays, it's so much different. You've got sim racing is an awesome way for people to get into it because, I mean, you can buy a $20,000 sim or you can buy a $150 wheel and pedals. And I know guys who were racing a $150 wheel and pedals and won $100,000 in a racing competition, and now we're racing professionally. And it's really down to just like who's willing to put in the time and who's got it. And it's hard because racing is an expensive sport, and there's no hiding that. So if you do the traditional, I'm starting in go-karts. A go-kart can cost $10,000 for a 12-year-old kid. When I started, I was always using used equipment because, I'm not convincing my dad as a 12-year-old kid to buy a $10,000 go-kart. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the best way to think about it. It's just like, holy crap. But yeah, I mean, those Formula One drivers that you see, they spent $20,000 on go-karts, and they spend $100,000 a year on people wrenching on them, like crewing for them. And then they did F4, that's $200,000, $300,000 nowadays. They did F3, it's $500,000. They did F2, it's $2 million. Then they're at F1, and they're either getting paid $20 million or they're paying about $10, $15 million a weekend to be out there. So it's crazy.
Wow.
So, I mean, like you said, racing can be $20 million a year. Or it can be $25 a year if you're getting sponsored, and if you're getting people to pay it for you, then that's really the way to make it work. And that's how we do it. I mean, that's how everyone or most people who can really make a career out of it have to eventually find that to do it. Like the Formula One guys, for example, like I was just talking about, eventually in their career, they found somewhere for someone else to pay for it, whether it's their dad who owns a $200 billion company, or it's someone else's dad who owns a $200 billion company who sponsors them. It's just finding someone to pay for it is how you got to do it.
Wow. It definitely sounds like a lot of people have daddy's money.
Oh my gosh. Other worlds of it.
Yeah, and a whole nother level. But I mean, so basically you're saying it is pay to win.
Pretty much. I mean, at the end of the day,
Until you get to that top
yeah,
tier,
yeah.
right?
At the end of the day, whether you are paying or your sponsor's paying or your team's paying, someone's paying. So like, even Mercedes at the top of the top, Formula One winning every race, Mercedes is still paying. I mean, Mercedes has to spend $20 million building a car, and they're spending $140 million a year. That's their budget cap, $140 million a year, not including driver salaries, not including the car. So they're paying. And at lower levels, like where I'm racing, it's either you're paying. So, for example, like a lot of people will show up to the track and they'll have a car sitting there waiting for them, and they pay the team anywhere from $5 to $50,000 a weekend for them to go out and race. Or you've got other guys like me and some of my other friends that we are technically paying, but we're getting sponsors to cover it for us.
And you know what? Let's talk about those sponsors. How do you just get a sponsor? And I know you have your Instagram, which we'll plug right at the introduction.
Perfect.
With Carsten Gregory Racing. I guess being in the influencer side, I feel like that has to do part of it, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, so many people, they get lost in the racing world because they think, oh, in order to get these sponsors, I've got to win every race. I've got to be the fast one out there. And a lot of times you can look at the guys who are racing. I don't want to say any names, but a lot of the guys that are making it work are 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in the championship or 9th on track. But they've got people sponsoring them and paying them for it. And it's really down to having a personality, whether it's on track or whether it's in the pits or whether it's on social media. Like for me, I know a lot of my like partnerships have been brought in through the social media, and it's a small enough niche world that, I've got 1,400 followers on Instagram. I'm not famous by any stretch of the imagination, but
Still helps out.
yeah, it still helps out. And it's a small enough category that if you've got 20,000 followers as a race car driver, that's the kind of the equivalent of having 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 as a basketball player or NFL player, because it's a smaller world. Sorry, I'm getting back to the question.
No,
How
you're
do
all
you get
good.
sponsors? I mean, you really you got to market yourself. Being a driver is kind of being a business. If you can prove to the company, hey, this is what you're giving me. You're giving me a couple grand to go spend on my race car, and here's what you're getting in return. I'm racing this weekend not this weekend, but in a new world, I'm racing this weekend on Fox. You have millions of people watching you. There's your ROI. So if you can prove to them that they have a return on their investment, regardless if you're finishing first and you're getting 20 minutes or 2 hours of on-screen time, or you're finishing last and you're still getting 20 minutes of screen time, 20 minutes on a streaming service like Fox or Flow Racing is a big one, or Racing America. That's another 20,000 people that are looking at their company. So it doesn't really, it's more about how you can market yourself and how you can prove to companies that they're best sponsoring you, rather than where you finish.
Do you think there's some racers that like to play a hero or a villain role at all, or no?
Tons of it. I mean, that's honestly a big thing.
You feel like you play that at all, or no?
I mean, I've always tried to be myself. And I think just as a person, I'm pretty like optimistic. Hey, let's look on this at the bright side. So I guess people have said, oh, are you playing the hero role? It's like, no, like I just
You're just a
want to be
happy
happy.
chap.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm a happy guy. Like I live the best life ever. I race cars on the weekend. Like I can't complain about that. But I mean, certainly like Max Verstappen, for example, he's the biggest name in racing, arguably ever, definitely right now. I mean, when he got into Formula One, he was 17 years old, and people hated him. I mean, hated him. He would go out on track, and whether it was for first or 20th on track, he would wreck you on the last lap to get the spot. And people were like, "Oh, he sucks. He's the worst. He's a villain." But that villain landed him a sponsorship with Oracle.
Yeah.
He's now and they're paying him $150 million a year. So it's like, I mean, yeah, you gotta, whether it's playing a role or whether it's just being yourself. Yeah, there's definitely roles to like, what's your personality going to be? Because if you're just another person, you don't stand out.
Yeah, I was always told, and Dana White said this, it's great to be the guy that gets cheered. Like, that's what everybody loves, and that's what as a businessman you want. It's also great to be the guy that everyone boos and like tells you you're going to die as you walk to the octagon and you got to go fight a man. You don't want to be the guy that everyone goes,
oh yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right.
I mean, exactly. Like UFC, Conor McGregor, you've got two people, two sides of the UFC world. Half of them hate him, half
Yeah.
of them love him. It doesn't matter how people feel because he's $100 million a year because of the polarizing. And I mean, you've got other guys that I can't even really name.
Yeah,
Because
but
they're
like,
just nobodies because
yeah,
they don't have
no.
a personality.
No, I totally get what you mean. I can think of like 10 or 20 guys off the top of my head that I'll just say Mozart Evelev. No, he's top contender in
Yeah,
featherweight, but
amazing fighter.
no one knows who that is, and they won't give him a title shot just because of personality. But speaking of assholes and people yet to deal with, do you have a rival? Like, do you feel like there's a rivalry with one driver or two for you, or no?
It depends. It's kind of like a weekend to weekend basis almost because like football you're playing like let's give the SEC for example.
Yeah.
Every SEC team hates every other SEC team.
Yeah.
Whether they say that it or not. Like, I mean, Alabama and Georgia hate each other. Everyone knows it. Georgia and South Carolina, they don't really hate each other, but like you want to play that rival. So the difference in racing is since you're not playing, like you're not really in like one set conference, it kind of changes weekend to weekend based on who you're racing against. And definitely like between Thursday and Sunday, you build up a rival. Because
Yeah.
you show up at the track Thursday, you go out and practice, and whether you're first or you're eighth or you're 20th, like there's someone next to you, and your goal for the next 4 days is to beat that person next to you. So, I've definitely had pretty hard battles with guys in the past, and a lot of times your rivals in racing are your closest buddies. Like one of my pretty good friends, a guy named Nathan, me and him have raced together now probably 3 years, and we've only been next to each other on track 3 or 4 times. But when we're next to each other, man, it's like he's pushing me down the straightaway. I'm pushing him through the corners. Like we're dang near wrecking each other in every corner because, we're friends, but when you're on track, you're rivals. So I guess the quick answer to that question is my rival's pretty much anyone who's next to me. Like,
I love to hear it.
I don't want to pass anyone.
And I know, speaking of just like Rex, I know you had an injury. I forgot what year it was, but you want to talk about it?
Yeah, 22. I was, God, we're in 2026, so it was now 4 or 5 years ago, because I think it was right at the beginning of 2022. It was my last season in go-karts, and you've got 2 championships in go-karts. You've got a winter series, you've got a summer series, and we had just won the 2021 summer series and single speed go-karts, so just like normal, just you go out and drive them, and we moved up to shifter karts, which are like 6-speed sequential box shifter karts. They're crazy. They have a faster 0 to 60 time than a Porsche GT4. They're ridiculous. They're super, super quick.
Wow.
And we were testing for it for the upcoming winter series, because it's not like the winter series isn't a really huge deal, but it's a good testing platform. So we were trying to like get comfortable in the go-kart before that, so that we could test through that 1, 2, 3 month championship, so that we could be at our top in the summer. And it was an early morning. Track was cold. Everything was like it was dew on the grass, so it was pretty bad conditions. And I went into the fastest corner on the track at the very end of the straightaway. I was doing 93 miles an hour, and I hit my brake, and the brake exploded, like just completely blew up. And I went head on into the wall at, I think my impact speed was 89 miles an hour. And go-karts, you don't have seatbelts. So, because you don't have a roll bar, so if they flip, you want to get thrown out like a motorcycle. But so I hit the wall head on, flung me out of the go-kart. I landed 10 feet from the go-kart on my shoulder, broke my back in 3 vertebrae, broke my T2, 3, and 4 vertebrae, tore every muscle and ligament in my right shoulder, tore my rotator cuff in my left, got a concussion. Really, truly should not have made it. That's the doctor, like when I rolled in on the ambulance, the doctor was like, "Man, were you wearing a lot of safety gear?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, it saved your life." I was like, "All right, dude. Like 15 years old, I don't need to hear that."
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was definitely the gnarliest wreck that I had. And it's just down to one of those things, like that's a career-ending injury for most sports and for a lot of drivers too. But it's one of those things, I'm so addicted to it that the rehab doctor was like, "It's going to take you 10 weeks to get done." And I was like, "All right, well, we race in 6." And he was like, "All right, well, it's going to take you 8." and in 4 weeks I was racing. So it was hard. It was very hard. I mean, I was at physical therapy 5 days a week. I was at the doctor at least once a week, getting X-rays, CAT scans, everything, just making sure I was doing all right. But we did, like I said, we did 10 weeks of physical therapy in 4 weeks, and we're ready to race in the winter. And we went out and won the championship. So
Wow.
it was a bad situation that turned into a championship. So
That's incredible to
out.
hear. I'm so sorry that happened, but I guess how do you just I know that like you said, probably shouldn't have made it and very lucky dealing with all the shit
Yeah.
you went through. Um but how do you like not be were you afraid going back into the car I feel like just any person like you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know, it's kind of back to the whole like where are your nerves? Like where do your nerves hit you in different sports? And like, I grew up playing football. I snapped my collarbone in football, and for the next 2 months after I recovered, every time I would go to get hit, I'd brace because I was like scared that I was going to get hit. And in racing, because that's where my nerves would hit. But in racing, your nerves hit right when you get in the car and right when you're getting out of it. And while you're driving, like I said earlier, you kind of forget about everything. So yeah, definitely the first time I got in, how those go-karts work is you sit in them, you have someone push you, and then you put it into gear and it starts it. Like they don't have a start or anything. So when I first sat down and my crew guy pushed me off to launch me, I was freaking out. I was like, last time I sat in one of these, I should have died. Like, God, what's going to happen to me again?
Yeah.
And then I was rolling out. I was scared, and you hit the throttle, and it just all goes away. I mean, it's corny to say, like, oh, you hit the throttle and you forget everything. But truly, I mean, like, if you're not locked in, then it's bad. But you get locked in, so it's like subconscious. You hit the throttle, you feel yourself fly back in the seat, and you forget everything. So I think that's the best way that helped me, like, recover from everything was just going and doing it. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. You're going to be scared from it or scared of it until you do it. So just get in it and going for it.
No, it's incredible to hear, but I guess I just like because I've definitely never had that serious an injury, so I'm not gonna even try to relate. But what's a normal Carsten Gregory like racing routine? Like, you got race day? What are we doing that morning? Let's say I don't know what time's a normal race for you at.
Man, we'll wake up at 4:45 in the morning. We'll get to the track at 6.
Okay, holy shit.
Yeah. So it's early. So most drivers, they've got like this whole thing. I eat this. I do this. I talk to her. I talk to him. I don't like any of that because I'm not superstitious. I've got a few things. I show up to the track early. I want to be the first one there. I want to look at my car before anyone touches it. I want to like we have covers on the cars. Like I want to take the cover off. I want to sit in it. That's my thing. I want to be there first. And then so I'll check over everything on the car that I can. I mean, I'm not going to take the motor out and look at it, but you know what I mean? Like I'll go and give it a 1-2. I won't eat breakfast because something about it. I don't like eating breakfast before a race. And I'll go debrief with the crew. If they have anything to tell me about the weather, about what the car's doing, because they'll stay after me most nights. They'll stay longer. So like if they notice anything wrong with the car, they'll tell me that. Then I'll talk to my coach. If I have a coach at the track, then it's usually just like the guy who owns the team because he's my coach. I'll talk to him, get a good debrief of what our goals are today, and then usually you've got some time in between when you get to the track to when you race because there's 20 different classes that will race. So it's like when my teammates are racing other classes, I'll go out and watch them, just see what the track's doing. Because you can kind of look at the track and see, okay, today's 90 degrees, the track temp is 100, the track's going to be slippery.
So it's kind of like golf when you know how like golfers kind of squat down and look
you
how
look
it
at
breaks.
Yeah, so I'll look at the track, I'll see what it's doing, and then right before I get in the car, pretty much every time I'll go do like 50 jumping jacks, jump ropes, something just to get the blood flowing. And then I always put my suit on, put my gloves on, then put my boots on. No, I put my suit on, then my boots, then my glove. Or no, God, I'm saying it wrong. Put my suit on, then my boots.
Yeah.
Then I get in the car, I put on my head sock, put on my helmet and Hans device, and then I put on my gloves last.
And I think if you could show off the helmet here, I know you brought it.
I can go up and grab it. This is the old prized possession, pretty much. But yeah, so This is usually the last thing that I'll put on in the car, besides my gloves, because it's hard to strap it down when
Yeah.
you got your gloves on. But yeah, I'll get in the car and put this old girl on, and get ready to go. But yeah, I mean, I try not to be super superstitious, but I got to do a few things just the same way every time.
And how much does one of those babies cost you? How much does your helmet cost?
Yeah, dude, that's one of the big ones. So this is what this is. This is a Schuberth SP1 carbon, and this helmet. There's different ratings for different helmets. So like go-kart helmets have one rating, car helmets have one rating. This helmet I could race anywhere. I could go drive it in Formula One if I wanted to. Well, I'd have to get a different visor, but whatever. So this is pretty much top of the line. You can get
How much does that cost?
brand new. It was like $2,800. Yeah. So the good thing about this thing, you spend the money, but you get what you pay for, and it's hard to tell. But when I bought it, you go to the factory and you go to the seller, and they sell it to you, and they put it on your head, and they custom mold it to your head. So they warm the cheek inserts, they warm the head inserts, they warm all the pads, and they custom mold it to your head. So you could put this helmet on, and you'd be like, dude, this sucks. Why would you ever want to drive this? It's so uncomfortable because it'll just hit you wrong. But for me, it's like putting on a sock. I mean, it's the most comfortable thing ever. We've had rain delays before, or like just delays on track, and I'll be sitting on pre-grid and doze off because it's just like a warm suit and a comfortable warm helmet. You just can doze off. But yeah, no, I mean, helmets can be anywhere from $300 to $5,000. This is priced well for what it is. I know it's crazy to say that about a $2,300 or $2,800 helmet, but for really what it is, I mean, you could spend a lot more and get a worse helmet.
And I can see a little growing theme, blue and green.
Blue and green,
Is that your
yeah.
two favorite colors?
Growing up, I hated green. Like I was always against green. Whenever we went on vacation, I would always give my brother the green toothbrush because we'd always forget our toothbrush.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is a stupid story, but I would always take the blue and give him the green because I hated green.
Yeah.
And then, sorry.
No, you're all
And
good.
then after I had my wreck, we had to rebuild the go-kart, and we had to get a new wrap for it. And we always were black and red, black and red, black and red, black and red. And I was like, I kind of want to switch it up. And my dad was like, all right, what do you want to do? And I was like, let's do like a teal and like a dark blue. He was like, well, that's kind of boring. Let's do like a blue, like a medium blue, and like something else. And I started looking around, and I found this one go-kart from this team over in the UK called Ricky Flynn Motorsports. RFM. I could have said his name.
Little Uncle Ricky, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it was this like neon green, white, and blue, and I just fell in love with it. And the guy who was on my wrap, I texted him, and I was like, all right, I'm doing green and blue. And he came up with this. I've got a picture of it on my phone. He came up with this go-kart that I raced for a year. I'm trying to find the picture, and just fell in love with it. And from then on, green has been like one of my favorite colors. So my logo's green. My car's matte black with green and blue accents. Helmets. That I've got my suit at home. I forgot it, but it's black with green and blue. Everything's green and blue. So yeah.
Well, I think for me, I would go with red and black, or I guess now going to Alabama, I'd probably go crimson and white or crimson and cream color.
I went red and black because being a Georgia fan, being a fan of the Superior College. I grew up loving red and black, but I guess you could go crimson and white if you wanted to be a little bit of a loser.
Gotta be shitting me. Grew up as a Georgia fan too, just wasn't smart enough to get in.
I was a Georgia fan. I ended up at a college with green and blue.
That's what I was gonna say.
So yeah, I guess neither of us made it, but it's all that matters.
Very-
We're somewhere.
Yeah, it's very fitting. But I guess just what's the funniest moment you've had on the track?
Man, it's one of those sports that it's so serious, like from the outside, but you look in it, and it's so funny. I mean, I've had so many funny moments. A lot of the times with the crew, my mechanics on the race weekends are my best friends. I mean, we spend every second together.
Yeah.
Besides when I'm on the track, so a lot of times it's just we'll be reviewing my footage. And I'll make a mistake, and my crew guy's like, dude, I've never driven a race car in my life, and I would know not to make that. What are you doing? So, those kind of moments are just funny. And honestly, sometimes like little wrecks, like not big wrecks, but like little wrecks, like you hit someone on the door and it doesn't cause any damage. Like it's just funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the most funny. I was when I was like 14. Me and my best friend at the time were driving together. It's a kid named Spencer. He'll see this because, I mean, I talk to him every single day still. But
Yeah.
we were on track together, and by the end of one day together, one day, we had busted through the middle fingers on both of our gloves because every time we'd pass each other, we'd flick each other off. So I for like years, I've probably still got the video on my phone, but I have this video of like just clips of me and him passing by each other and just flicking each other off. And I've still got the gloves. It's like perfectly brand new set of gloves. I bought it the day before, just with the middle finger just poking straight through. So I mean, that was probably one of the funniest parts. Just screwing around with your friends, honestly, in such a serious sport. It's fun to like make light of it.
And I saw like in your helmet, I saw a little like, I don't know, is that an earpiece radio?
Yeah. So I guess I can try to show this. So on these helmets, you've got this cable, and this plugs into the car. So you've got like a full radio set up in the car. So this plugs into the car. So you put the helmet on, you strap in, you plug this into the car, and then you've got another just like aux, or it's not an aux, but it's kind of like an aux input right here. And depending on driver preference, some people like earmuffs. So like you can get earmuffs built into your helmet. So it's like you have headphones like right here. I don't love them because they're just, they don't block the sound out enough for me. So I've got earbuds that are custom molded to my ears. You put the earbuds in before you put your helmet on, and then you plug it in here, and then you've got right under here, it's kind of hard to see, but because it's black on black, but you've got a little mic right at your mouth. So you can talk back and forth to the crew.
Do you ever hear any out of pocket shit go through the headphone, or is it dead serious in there?
No, so much shit. Back like 2 years ago, by the guy who was crewing for me, like while I was on track, he was this guy named Steven, and me and him would just troll all the time. And this guy on track, the guy that I was racing with, was just being a dick. He was blocking every corner and swerving on the straights, not letting me by. And I got on the mic and I was like, what the fuck, Steven? This guy's being an asshole. I'm so mad. And Steven doesn't say anything. He just turns on he presses his push to talk button over his mic and just starts playing jazz. And for 30 minutes, the rest of the race, the only thing I could hear was just smooth jazz. I like tried to interrupt him. I was like, bro, turn it off. But he just wouldn't. He just wouldn't. So for 30 minutes, I was just listening to jazz on the racetrack. But I mean, there's just so much stupid crap that, like behind the scenes, stupid crap that you would never think. Just like, I mean, like we'll do like mic and radio checks every time we get on track, and we'll do camera checks. And like some of the pictures I have of my crew guys just like looking over the windshield to see my camera to make sure it's recording. It's just the funniest pictures ever. It's just like 0.5 pictures of these guys through a race car windshield. And
yeah,
I mean, honestly, the more fun you can have with it, the better you'll do. And it's just, we try to have some fun with it. And it's a lot of screwing around until you drive.
That's fair. That damn Steven, man.
Love him. I love him.
It's an awful name. Steven's an awful name, though.
You're not the big Steven guy?
I don't know. I don't love the name, but, I'm glad you love Steven, that damn jazz music. You hate jazz now, or you love it forever?
I mean, I love it for the story, but I swear to God, if anyone ever plays jazz music in my headset, I'm going to just go straight on into the wall and end myself there, because I'm not doing 30 minutes of jazz. 30 minutes of jazz music in the racing track.
Oh,
too much for me.
Last thing you're going to remember is Steven.
Oh, my God.
Steven is damn jazz.
Damn jazz.
But let's get on to the next question. Which racetrack is your favorite and why? Like, what track is just like, that's my home, that's my that's my sweet spot. Like, you feel yourself really good there. Just what track's your favorite?
I mean, 2 words, Road Atlanta. We're an hour from Brazelton, Georgia. It's in the middle of the mountains in Brazelton. It's a 2.85-mile racetrack. It's pretty big. Huge elevation change everywhere. I mean, it's just sketchy as hell. Turn 1, you're at 103 miles an hour. Turn 5, you're at 85. You can't see the apex of the corner. You run off, it's just a wall. I mean, it's just the gnarliest track ever. In the last 3 years, I've probably done 500 laps there, and it is just, I mean, I love it. I can't get enough of it. Whether I'm at the track or whether I'm on the sim, 95% of the time I'm driving Road Atlanta. And I'm very lucky because it's such a great track. And I mean, drivers from the UK, drivers from Switzerland will fly over here to drive it because it's just such a world-renowned track. And to say it's in my backyard, in relative speaking, it's pretty insane. But that's definitely, I mean, there's nothing like it.
Is it just a challenge for you, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those tracks, a lot of tracks like Daytona, it's a really famous track, but the road course version of Daytona, you've got one, two, three, I don't know, you've got 8 corners, I think, besides the back straight, you've got a 3-corner chicane, but for a majority of the lap, you can sit back and you're on the straightaway. When you're on the straightaway, your throttle's down, you're just relaxed. Like, people always think, oh, you're doing 160 miles an hour, you've got to be freaking out. No, that's like the relaxing part. Going through the corners when you're pulling 3 Gs, that's the hard part. And Road Atlanta's got a long back straight, but you've got turn 1 at 100 miles an hour, turn 2 and 3 is a hard braking zone, 4 down through 3, 4, and 5, it's downhill S's, back up, and you're completely flat out at 100 miles an hour. You don't lift. You are fully 100% in the throttle. You don't touch the brakes through 3 corners. Turn 5, you barely touch the brakes. You go down 1 gear. It is so just back to back. You can't relax, and it's just awesome.
It's like you have major swamp pass going on.
Oh
down
yeah,
there.
I mean, you're sitting there shaking legs, pissing your pants, swamp ass, and it's the whole shebang. But it's such a fun challenge. I mean, it's like there's nothing like it.
Wow. And I know you talked about how a lot of drivers from all over come to that track. Who's the most talented driver you've ever faced against? Excuse me, raced against. Not faced.
I'm trying to think. I've raced against some pretty cool names. There's 2 that I really want to say. Mm-hmm. The first one, it's an obvious answer. You would say if you knew racing well, you'd say, oh, it's 100% Helio Castroneves. He's an ex IndyCar driver. He's won the Indy 500 multiple times, won the IndyCar Championship multiple times. Genuinely one of the greatest drivers to ever drive a race car. Back when I used to race go-karts, he came to the track that I raced at most, and he came with me and my crew guys, and he was like, I haven't driven a go-kart in a while. I want to drive this track. I need someone to coach me. So I coached him for a day, and literally, dude, it was like 2 laps. I was like, all right, this is what you got to do. And then the last 3, he blew by me, and I never saw him again. I mean, he's out of this world talented.
He put belt to ass on you?
Oh, belt to ass. I mean, it was the biggest ego check I've ever had of my racing career. But then, so he's definitely, he's the most like famous, well-known, probably big talent that I've ever raced against. Another guy, his kid named Marian Kremers. He's only a couple years older than us, but he's won European karting championship, world karting championship, U.S. karting championship multiple times. He's won everything you can win in a go-kart, and that doesn't sound like much because it's a go-kart, but that is like, if you can drive a go-kart, you can drive anything. That's really like the big equalizer. And I raced against him once, and it was a big struggle. He was hard to drive against. But I'd say those are probably the 2 hardest guys that I've ever raced against. And the coolest was I've raced against the Ford CEO a few times. I've raced against the McLaren CEO a few times. Just guys like that. You race against a lot of big names, but there's a few that just stick out as the hardest drivers I've ever raced against.
That is great to hear, and I guess kind of ties in our next question. You've raced against some cool guys. Who's one person that you wish you could have raced against, or someone that you want to race against? Who's the dream guy that you're like, I want him, that's my man, and I want to race against him.
My man is crazy.
Yeah.
But, growing up, I've always been a Lewis Hamilton fan. Mm-hmm. He was the guy that I had a poster of on my wall when I was a kid. And Robert Kubica is another guy. He doesn't race anymore, but I would say if I had 2 months to live and I had to make a wish, I would say, all right, let's go to the racetrack, me and Lewis Hamilton, let's just go at it. That's pause, but you know what I'm saying. Let's just go and race against each other. And Lewis Hamilton for sure, and you know, on the U.S. side of things, the NASCAR side of things, the late great, rest in peace to him, Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
He was I mean, on my walls, I had a picture of Lewis Hamilton, and on my shirt, I was wearing an Eminem's Kyle Busch jersey as 5 years old. So those are two guys that I guess now I won't be able to have the dream of racing against Kyle Busch, unfortunately. Maybe his son one day, but definitely if I could get on track with Lewis Hamilton or I guess Kyle Busch back in the day, then it would have been. I mean, that's my dream. I don't care if he beats me by 45 seconds or 2 minutes. It'd just be a dream.
Yeah, kind of starstruck, and I know
For sure.
Brett had a great guy on here, Justin Baker, and he just said, "Hey, you just got to work for it. You just got to go for
Yeah.
it. You got to be consistent with it." And I believe you'll get there one day. And I guess speaking on, you don't know get belt to ass, but what race do you want to win like the most for your career's over? Or is it just? I guess you want to win them all. I mean, everybody does. But like, what is one race that is just like, okay, I'm satisfied if I win this race? Like that just satisfies you.
I mean, anything really of the Triple Crown, which I guess the Triple Crown, two people, you could have different opinions on it. Triple Crown is usually Indy 500, 24 Hours of Le Mans, and either Daytona 500 or 24 Hours of Daytona. Any of those four races. I mean, I don't come from an oval racing background, so getting to winning the Indy 500 or Daytona 500 would be definitely a bigger feat. But really, if I could go out and win Daytona 500, I mean, Daytona 24 Hours or 24 Hours of Le Mans, I mean, that's how careers are made. You could have lost every single race of your entire career, but if you go out and somehow win Daytona 24 Hour or Le Mans 24 Hour, you've got.
How do you stay awake for that long?
You don't. Short answer.
See?
Yeah, so for 24-hour races, you've got usually 4 or 5.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so you'll come in, you'll do like 3 hours in the car, you'll do 4 or 2 hours. It just depends on what you decide with the crew, but you'll do your stints of however long, and then you'll come in and pit. They'll pull you out of the car, they'll put a new driver in the car, and you'll go rest or sleep, or if you don't like doing that, you'll go look at data or hang out with the crew guys, and then after they do theirs or the next driver does theirs or whatever, like you'll have a sheet of.
So it's more like a team thing. It's like a relay race. I get
exactly.
it. Yeah.
What it is. Yeah, it's just that's like people think of racing as a person sport, but it's really a team sport, especially in endurance racing like that. You've got because it doesn't matter how good you do and how good your teammate does. If your third teammate wrecks the car, then the car's wrecked.
You'd rather have 4 good guys than 1 great guy and 3.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, and I guess you want to jump into the rapid fire segment.
Let's do it.
This is end of our segment. Favorite track, or you already? Sorry, I'm gonna cut this part out. Peter, just make sure you cut this part out.
Don't cut it out, Peter.
No, that does. All right, I'm gonna start it, but I'm gonna clap my hands.
We just went to a sponsor segment. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I'm gonna clap my hands, and then I'll get back to it. Rapid fire. Shit. All right. This is what
Hey,
behind.
just don't look me straight in the eyes when you say it.
This is. Yeah, I can't talk. If you want to know what behind the scenes looks like, this is what goes on. I mess up a bunch. Yeah.
Dude, if you ever had to watch the behind the scenes of me making a 30-second Instagram reel, you'd cry laughing. It takes me 45 minutes.
Oh yeah. All right. Rapid fire segment. Shit. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Now let's jump into our rapid fire segment with the CG18. Favorite race car?
That I've ever driven or that I would dream to drive?
Give us both answers. We love to
Favorite
hear
race car I've
both.
ever driven, my current race car, Indy 2, Mazda MX-5 Cup car. Favorite race car I could ever drive? I want to say the older BMW Z4 GT3 cars, big V8, super loud, super fast. They're just sick all around.
I don't know either of those cars, but you know what? If Peter,
that's what matters.
Great editor Peter, if he could pull up 2 pictures of both those cars, that'd be great. Biggest racing pet peeve for you?
When you get in the car, okay, this is a guy pet peeve. Sometimes you'll get in the car, you'll strap up your belts, something happens in your lap, and your belts put pressure on the worst part that they can put pressure on.
Oh.
And for 30 minutes, you are just in your stomach, you feel like you're going to throw up. That's the worst thing that could ever happen in a race car.
Is that every single time or no?
No, it happens. It's like, damn, that just happened. It's one of those things. Like you're rolling out of the pits and you're like, oh shoot, my belts are a little loose, and you tighten them and you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Have you won a race like that or no?
I run one like that, and it was the biggest celebration I've ever had. Getting out of the car, not because I won, but because I'm not
your
dead.
McNuggets could rest.
Yeah,
they could
exactly.
go back
I still
into
got
place.
2 jewels, you know?
Yeah, no, that's
one
great
didn't,
to
one
hear.
didn't go to the Shadow Wilhelm.
NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, or sports car?
I gotta say, I race sports car, so I'm biased for sports car. I'll answer it different. NASCAR's got the best racing. Everyone's close all the time. IndyCar has the coolest cars with the best racing. Formula One's got the fastest, best cars, the best engineers. Sports cars, just all of it. You've got 24-hour races. You've got 2-hour races. You've got 1-hour races. It's just constant nonstop racing, constant nonstop action, 4 drivers, 3 drivers, whatever. I mean, it's just all the time cool. So I would say sports cars.
Okay, one word to describe your driving style.
Aggressive for sure. I like a car that's very hard to drive. I want it to be all over the nose, which means if I turn in this much, I want the car to fully rotate in and almost spin out. And it doesn't matter if I'm 2 car lengths back or 12. If you're going to brake early, I'm going by you.
Man, so just a train coming at anything.
Just whatever I can
just
do.
gonna pound it in there. Dream sponsor.
Ooh, that's a good question. I got to go Red Bull. You know, it's just a cool company. I mean, they do so much with their drivers. Like one of my buddies sponsored by Red Bull, or not buddies, the guy that I've raced with in the past, I should say, is sponsored by Red Bull. And he's doing interviews with Max Verstappen. He's doing interviews with other Formula One drivers. He's driving cool cars all the time, and it's just because he locked down that sponsor. So Red Bull for sure.
That is great to hear. Carsten, I'm so glad you came on. I'm so glad I got to learn. I guess a lot of people got to learn about racing that I have no idea on. I feel like my toes are still really not even dipped in the water, and I know there's so much to learn. But you have anything inspirational for anybody or motivational you want to say as we wrap this episode up?
Man, you know, I always try to end my interviews with saying the only way to get better is turn your weaknesses into your strengths. Whatever you got to do, work for it, get better at it. Do everything you can to just make yourself the best version of yourself. But that's all I got for you.
I love that, Carsten. And like my role model says, Pat McAfee, be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Hope you guys enjoy this interview. Let me know what I can work on as an interviewer and a podcaster. Leave a comment, I'll put all of Carsten's socials down in the description. And hope you guys enjoy and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Carsten.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.